Hey guys, it's Nicole. Welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be sharing with you the books I'm hoping to get to in April. I skipped doing a TBR for March because I'm just so behind on editing so many videos, but I didn't want to skip April's TBR even though I'm still behind on editing all those videos. I have books I'm excited about and I want to talk about, and if I don't get to them in April, I will get to them in a future TBR completion project vlog, so I may as well, you know? Here are the books. I tried to be reasonable. We'll see if I was. The first book I am hoping to get to in April is The Golden Fool by Robin Hobb. If you've been following me, you would know that I've been on quite the Robin Hobb kick recently. I just finished the Liveshow trilogy, which is the second trilogy. This is the second book in the second trilogy in this world, and I'm halfway through the first book in this trilogy at the moment, so this is definitely high priority for April. And the way I'm going, I've literally been flying through every single one of these books. I think I'm going to fly through this one as well. I can't really say much about what this trilogy is about because it is technically book 8 in a series, but I can tell you that this series starts off 16 years after the end of Assassin's Quest, which is the final book in the first trilogy. I hope this is making sense. It might be a bit confusing. I'm loving the first book so far, loving being back in this part of the world and to see some characters that I haven't seen for a while, and to see them so many years later has definitely been interesting and sad. And this series at this point is just such a comfort read for me, so I'm excited to see where the story continues. Okay, the next book I want to get is one I just bought recently on a whim, and that is The Wolf of Arenaro. The reason I brought this was because I've heard that the main protagonist in this is a mother character. So she's an older woman who's a mother in this fantasy world doing warrior, cool fantasy like things, and that's all I want to know. I don't want to know anything else going into this book, but I've just really been loving reading books, particularly fantasy books, where the female characters are main characters but they're also older women and their mothers. You know, traditionally in fantasy, where a woman's story ends is once she's been married off. Like, that's kind of the end of her story, the end of her worth. And to see so many books now with female protagonists who are older women and who are mothers, I just love it. I really love their perspective and their take, so I'm just so excited for this. That was literally the main reason and pretty much the only reason I wrote this. The series is called the Bitch Queen series. Not gonna lie, that also has me intrigued and might have been a factor into me buying it, but I heard really great things about this. I have really high hopes. I'm hoping it'll be a new favorite. We shall see. The next book I grabbed to put on this TBR is Poison Study by Maria V. Snyder. Yep. I haven't read this book. This is one of like the only YA books from like this time period that I haven't read. Like, pretty much every other YA book that kind of came out around this time period and that is now completed, I've read all of them. I sort of missed the boat on this one and I've always meant to read it. Have read a couple of other of Maria V. Snyder books. I've read her, I can't even remember what the trilogy is called, but I know the first book's called A Touch of Power, and the protagonist in that had a healing ability. In this one, I know that our protagonist is, I think, an assassin of sorts, and she gets caught because she's a poison assassin, and she is supposed to be executed after she's been caught. I don't know if she bargains her way out of it or if someone comes to her and makes a deal that instead of her being executed, she is now the taste tester for, I believe, some sort of royal person in this world, so she taste tests their food for poisons. So she's kind of, you know, living a risky life after, and it's supposed to be a really fun time. I know this series was like so popular back in the day, and now there's like a sequel series to it, or it might be the series continued with another 3 books, because originally it was a trilogy and now it's 6 books long. I'm not really too sure how that happened. I think it's going to be a fun time, so that's what I want. I also really want to pick up Everfair. There is a vlog I've had in mind for a while that I really want to do, and this book will be in it. So I'm putting this on this TBR because I want to prioritize doing that vlog. I don't know much about this book, but I do know that it is about colonization in the Congo, and it explores the idea that if the people of the Congo had technology and how colonization would have happened or not happened if that was the case. So I'm very interested in this because I think it's going to deal with a lot of interesting and very heavy themes while having fantasy to it, and also I think a little bit of sci-fi with the technology. I'm not entirely sure. I also love stories that sort of twist history a bit, and I think this is going to do that. I haven't got a physical copy yet, but I'm also hoping to read Chain of Iron by Cassandra Clare, which is book 2 in the, I don't even know what this series is called, but her latest trilogy. Okay, I did pre-order the book, but then I didn't realize that the hardback doesn't come out until April in Australia, so I haven't been able to read it or get my hands on it yet. So I will be getting it in April, and I'm going to read it immediately. Cassandra Clare is the one I've been reading for a long time. I don't think her books are like the best thing in the world, but they're comforting and they're fun, and you need that sometimes. So I'm going to read the latest book in this world in April. I also really want to read The Bone Shard Daughter, which is another book I want to read for a vlog that I have an idea for. I know that there's sort of necromancy magic in this. There's animal companions, and it's like about a revolution. So yeah, I don't want to know a whole lot about this one, but it's high priority. I think I will get to it quite early on in April, and I'm so excited. Okay, and then speaking of series, there is a series that I want to continue on reading, and that is, I don't know what the trilogy is called, but the first book is called City of Stairs. This is the second book, City Ablaze by Robert Jackson Bennett. I think it's actually called The Divine Cities. Yeah, that's the series title. Oh my god, I'm the worst. I'm sorry. I read the first book, City of Stairs, in one of my TBR completion projects videos. I think it was the second video I read it. So I read the first book about November last year, and I loved it. Definitely has potential to be a new favorite series. I really enjoy Robert Jackson's characters. I find he does really fun dynamics. A couple of the characters in the first book, they were lovers when they were young, and then they meet up when they're a lot older, and it was a really fun dynamic, especially since one of them was like supposed to be undercover, but obviously that got exposed very quickly. This is set in a world where gods once ruled over humans, but then the humans defeated the gods and are now free of them and sort of live on their own. But it starts to be that not all the gods were destroyed, and they're sort of slowly coming back. That's all I want to say. It's a very complicated book and a series I wouldn't recommend to someone who is a beginner in adult fantasy, because the world building is extremely heavy, but it is really fascinating and fun. So if that doesn't intimidate you, I do recommend them. Apparently this book follows one of the side characters from the first book. I believe it's still like continuing on from the first book storyline wise, but we just have it from another character's perspective. So I'm looking forward to seeing what I think of this character, because I did really like them, or what I got of them in the first book. Okay, and then there's 2 books I'm just going to mention because I'm in the middle of them, and you've probably seen them around if you've follow me or watch my vlogs. The first one is Sorcerer to the Crown. So if you watch my fantasy romance reading vlog, I did start this in that, and I don't think have read any more since doing that vlog. I was meant to, I just haven't gotten around to reading it, mostly because I've been reading books for other vlogs, and then when I haven't been doing that, I've just kind of been obsessed with Robin Hobb and just reading all my Robin Hobb books. So this one's just sort of fallen back to the TBR pile, but I want to finish it in April because I have, I've read a third of it already, and I was really, really enjoying it. This book is set in Regency, England, and we're following a sorcerer to the Crown. It's sort of set in this historical period, and all these people have magic. It's sort of normal for people to have magic and be magicians, but what it's really exploring is sort of the power dynamics and the status dynamics of those with magical abilities, and who within society it's deemed acceptable to use magic and who is deemed it to be unacceptable to use magic. So we have women in here that can perform magic, but it's unacceptable for women to perform magic. And the main character in this is Black, and he is the Sorcerer to the Crown, which is a very prestigious status in the society, and it's really well respected. And he's the first Black man to have this title, and it's causing a lot of judgment and just racism towards him from those who want the title themselves, but also just don't respect a Black man to have the title. So I'm really liking this a lot because we have the story set in a historical period, but the social norms of the time are really being challenged and questioned, and I just really appreciate that. Plus there's fun magic involved, and that's always makes books a good time. So I need to finish this it's going to happen. April. And the last book I actually did read in March, which is Gideon the Ninth. I'm taking off the dust jacket. I read this because I was a co-host for Katy from Katy Brightness Reads live show for the book club that she's just started up, which is called Of Sorcery and Stardust. I will leave a link to the book club and also Katy's channel down below. Please check it out. She's so lovely. It's a queer SFF book club, by the way. And yeah, this was the first book for the book club and I was the co-host. I really enjoyed this. I did, like I said, I read it, but I rushed the last third of this book to finish it in time for the live show, and this is definitely one of those books that you start and nothing makes sense, and it does make more sense the more you read, but I wanted to reread it as soon as I finished it, and I actually started rereading it, so I want to continue on with rereading it and just take it slow and finish it hopefully by the end of April to give you my full and final thoughts. There was just so much to take in that my thoughts didn't fully process everything, but no, I had a really fun time, and I'll also leave the link to the live show I did with Katy where we discussed this, so you can hear more about what this is about. It's good, and I want to just, yeah, read it again. So that's what I'm gonna do. Okay, that's it. That's my TBR. I'm leaving it there because there are some other books I want to get to for vlogs. We'll see how it all goes. Let me know what book you are most excited to read in April. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope that you're enjoying whatever you're currently reading, and I hope to see you next time. Bye!